Hey everybody, this is Life After Divorce, Being Scared and Moving Forward. So the moment that I looked up and I realized that I had these 5 young people that I had to take care of on my own, I was petrified. Now, just a little background, and this is a whole nother story, but when their dad decided to leave, I was already living with my parents, okay? We were here and he decided to take his leave. Now, when we moved in, my dad was old school, right? You had to have a contract and agreement about how much your rent portion was going to be when we moved in. And also, in addition to that, I was responsible for the food and clothing for my children as well I should have been because I'm their mom. And I didn't have a problem with that because my parents have been like that ever since I started working. I know I had girlfriends whose parents, when they got a certain age, they bought them a car. My parents never did that. It was like, you want a car, you work for it, right? And I'm that kind of mom too, I ain't gonna lie. It teaches kids responsibility. It taught me responsibility. So even though I was living with my parents, I wasn't getting a free ride. The only real help that I got is that they would help watch the kids if I was doing something or I needed help. But I still worked full time and I still had to provide for my children. Now, getting back to the story. Even with that being said, because my rental payment was comparable to what I'd find in the area if I moved here on my own or moved out on my own, I was scared to death of being alone and having all of that responsibility solely on me, right? For my kids. It's not like I hadn't been doing it anyway, but it was just something about not having their dad here that made me petrified. I'll be honest. Like, I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to take care of my kids and provide for my children. So after a while, what I decided to do was exactly that. I moved out on my own because I've always been a hard worker. I don't believe in laying around on people. That's just not who I am. So I moved out on my own into an apartment, a 3-bedroom apartment with my children. And they were not working at this time. They weren't old enough to work. So when I said all of that was on me, I counted out my chickens, like they say. I made sure that I had what I needed. I had paid bills off and I'd gotten out of debt. And I really wanted to make a go of it. And when we moved, I had to buy all new furniture, right? So I had to make sure that my kids had what they needed in order to feel comfortable in our new home. So in order to make a success of it and a go of it, I had to have a plan, right? You have to have a plan. See, I set goals up and I put dates next to those goals because like they say, a goal without a date is just a dream. And they may say it a different way too, but if you set up a goal and you don't put a date toward that goal of when you want to accomplish it or how you're going to work toward it, it's just a dream. It's just a dream, right? And so I didn't want to make this a dream because in my mind, and I know this may be a morbid thought, what if my parents are not around? I've got to make sure that I can financially take care of my children on my own, in my own home, right? And not feel anxiety because I'm doing this by myself. Well, here I am with my 5 young people, and we moved out and we were gone for a couple of years until my dad passed away. So, and then we moved back in to help my mom with her issues, her mobility issues. She couldn't live at home. So this is the point. When you're going through a divorce, it's going to be scary, right? If you're a single parent, whether you're the husband or the wife, you're going to feel some anxiety about going it alone. You're used to having, even if that partner is not fully giving 100% and committed into your marriage or being a parent, you're used to having that second person there as a sounding board or just a cushion, even if it's just mentally, right? But sometimes you're not going to have that. And so you have to learn how to stand on your own 2 feet. It's very important that you have that sense of, let me do this and try this on my own to make sure that I can do it on my own. You'd be surprised how strong you are and how you can bounce back on your own after a divorce. So hopefully this information is helpful to someone. Please remember to repost, follow, subscribe, like, share. I'm not the only person that's ever gone through a divorce. And I know that a lot of people are taking it a lot harder than I did because it's a lot to digest. So hopefully this information is helpful for some of you out there. Please remember once again to like, follow, repost, and share. This is your girl, Essie. I'm out.